Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second annual Adobe Live Holiday Show. My name is Anna McNaught, and I am so excited to create some winter holiday magic with you all today. And this piece it just came together so perfectly, and so we're going to have a lot of fun working on this. You may have seen it come up on my Instagram today, but if you haven't, it's going to be a little bit of a surprise when you see it come on the screen because I'm super stoked. So thank you all for joining me today. Warm welcome to everyone in the chat. Thank you for being here with me. Hello, Fairy and Robert and all of the usuals and new people joining in. So wonderful to see your little chat faces on there. If you are joining us on Behance or YouTube, warm welcome to you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can follow along with all of the streaming and catch up on those replays that you may have missed. And this class will, of course, be recorded, so you can go back and watch anything that you may have missed at any point, or share it with all your friends, because sharing is caring, right? Especially during the holiday season. So I don't want to waste any time chit-chatting with you all. Let's just dive right into it and check out what we're going to be making today. Also, don't forget that you can get all of these assets so you can follow along and get a little fun giveaway from the Adobe team and from myself. And if someone, I don't know if the link has been put in the chat. I believe it's also below the video here, but it's adobe.ly/Adobe Live Holiday. And if you are going to follow along and post this, just be sure to use hashtag Adobe Live Holiday Week 2022. All right, I will shut up now and start creating. So this is the image we are going to be learning how to make today. And I just really wanted to go for this fun, magical holiday look. I love the look of when it snows and it starts to get to be that magic blue hour and you have these warm lights coming from all the buildings, and it reminds me of being a kid, and it reminds me of this just warm, yummy holiday feeling that we all get. I think many of you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but I wanted to give it a holiday fantasy type spin to it too. And with how popular AI is, this is actually from Adobe stock, but we can see that it probably was generated by AI. But this is my way of pulling Photoshop into the AI world and combining something to make it less computer generated and more human generated. All right, I had a lot of coffee today, so I just want to talk to you all. So let's just start fully from scratch here, and then we're going to pull some pieces over. So first, I want to open up my libraries, and I've been trying to get used to using libraries more often because many times I will just download everything and rather than just going right here and then being able to purchase these. And this worked so well yesterday for me. So I highly recommend you do this through Adobe stock and set up your own libraries. So we're going to start with our base image here. See how easy that is? You have all your images right here and can just go ahead and drag them over. And then you can click the little shopping cart to license them. So I am going to just place this in here. Barry said, I have no coffee for today. Too bad. Yeah. Who's all drinking coffee? What are you having this morning or this evening, wherever you are calling in from? Okay. And now I love this. I think all of these are maybe created with AI. They're kind of like gooey looking and kind of funky. So we're going to place this down in here. And I took a lot of time to try to figure out my composition for this. But now I kind of know, as if any of you have seen me work before, this is kind of like my method. Place everything in and then start to arrange after. Okay, so then I had this cool castle that I found. Love this so much. place that. Just turn it off for now. And let's see, what else did I have? These beautiful northern lights. Of course, gotta have those. And I'm just gonna kind of reference this one and then see. Start to kind of make sure everything's lining up about the same. Wow, Paco, I did not know that about you, that you've never been into coffee. Oh my God, my world is blown. Yes, someone asked, Becca, is the castle AI? It is, but it is from Adobe stock, so I did not make it. And all of these are in the folder. They're not licensed, but you can play around with the watermarked versions. And then if you have an account on Adobe Live, go ahead and license these. Okay, I got to turn my auto select on here. And then just kind of getting everything in place. And when I found these images, I felt like they all just went so well together. I loved the way this light was coming from here, and that was a perfect place to put the castle. And then having the castle with this warm orange glow. So we're going to go, first what I want to do is actually warp this. And I did that in... You want a coffee too? No, I don't need any more coffee. So I found in my other one that in warping this, it kind of gave it like a fun Dr. Seuss type, like Whoville look. And I thought that was really cool. So I just clicked warp on here, and then I'm just kind of going along and warping it to my liking. You don't have to do that, but totally up to you. Then we're going to go select subject here. And Adobe Sensei does usually a pretty good job of cutting everything out. I found that it works really, really well. A little bit on here, it doesn't seem to want to work, but that's okay. So we're just going to hold down Alt and kind of try to cut this castle out a little bit. So we could do that. And last night I did do that when I made this image, and then I went back in and I carefully touched everything up. So you could do that and slowly kind of add these sections back in. You could use the pen tool. And I don't want to spend too much time cutting this out because we have a lot to cover in our hour together today. But you could also always, let's just deselect that. You could also add a layer mask and just kind of paint and blend this in. And for any of you who have watched me before, you know that, let's see here, you know that I love kind of blending everything together versus cutting a lot of stuff out, because I think it helps give that like seamless look. So you could just kind of go along and blend this out like that. And then kind of match it into your sky. So I'm going to actually just pull this from the other one since it's all set and ready to go. And then we're going to use that so we don't spend too much time editing our castle. Let's see here. Drag it on over and place it in. I literally went like, what do you call the castle? The spires? Is that what it's called? Went line by line, like cutting this out and then adding in extra little points and stuff. So it took me a long time, and I definitely don't want to do that on the stream today. But if you take your time with this, it's going to look spectacular. Okay, so now we got that. Let's just turn that off for now and get our background blended in. So we're going to add a layer mask onto this Northern Lights here. And then again, this method of blending is really nice. You could, of course, just cut this out, but I just like to do this because I think it helps give that nice smooth transition and kind of the painterly look that I like to go for. So I am seeing that the assets are not in the folder. I apologize for that. I thought they all uploaded, but maybe not. I will upload them first thing after this show, and then you can go back and watch and follow along. I am so sorry about that, everyone. And you will have all of these images that have the Adobe stock number baked into the title, so you'll be able to find them and download them, or license them rather. Okay. Becca asks, how do you know if something on Adobe stock is AI? Good question. It's a little bit hard to tell, especially when people, excuse me, especially when people don't actually say it in the description. I just can kind of tell at this point. It has this weird kind of fake look. Like, see these trees? They don't really look real. They're like, everything's a little gooey, especially when it comes to like the new versions of AI, like with Midjourney 4. It's getting so good that you cannot tell. But I think, if you're worried about it for ethics, like, I don't know, I see it if it's on Adobe stock, I kind of am like, well, it's okay. As long as I create my own piece with this. That's a whole different conversation though. Yeah, Becca, it might have its own category. If you search AI art on Adobe stock, you do start to get a lot of this stuff too. And really fun things. Like, I think that's what's so exciting is there's so much stuff that we can now play with and create with that we haven't been able to use before, because you can't create art that as fast as the computer can. So then last night when I created this, came along and kind of like cut these trees out too. So we're going to just do that briefly here, but then I do want to drag these over as well. Okay, Steve said Terry White has been posting some good stuff on AI. That is so good to know. I love Terry. So you can see here, just kind of starting to blend everything together. Let me just grab these trees that I already cut out. I got halfway through naming my layers before the stream and then didn't finish it. So don't judge me. So you can see here, I actually like cut these trees out. Okay. Just trying to get everything kind of placed the way I had it before. All right. And now we'll put that castle back behind here. On our northern lights. We want to stack everything properly here too. There we go. Okay. Why does it not want to... All right. Just trying to figure out these sizing issues. Okay, so then I was kind of trying to decide if I wanted to add in this other castle up in the background. And I really do love the way it turned out. I was actually going to do that live and have you help me decide on here, but I wanted to share everything ahead of time so you all could see what you're going to be making. But I'd love to know your opinions. Do you like the idea of this castle kind of up in the background, the way I have it over here? Let me know your thoughts. So let's see, I kind of placed that in and then just kind of took this section here. Okay, add a layer mask, and then we'll do our little blending technique again. I always think that's such a good method for making everything look really nice and not cut out. And then we'll just give it a little bit of a Gaussian blur. Want to make sure I'm on the layer and not the layer mask here. Go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, there we go. And just kind of like by adding that blur, you can push things into the background. And lower the opacity a little. All right. And I want to make sure I have this section of the Northern Lights kind of coming down and wrapping into the castle. My idea was like the lights are kind of all coming from the castle. It's like letting this light out from the front. The Northern Lights are either coming or going from the castle. We have no idea, creating this magical world. It's always so funny creating something for yourself and then creating it live and how different it starts to look. I'm like, I placed everything in a different way this time. Right. Make this a little bigger. And clean that up there. Yes, Marcia said the castle is so magical and mystical. It's reminiscent of Hogwarts. Totally. I know. I was thinking that too. And I'm actually not a big Harry Potter fan, but I love this and it really does make me think of Hogwarts. I'm trying to kind of compare how I have the background. Oh, I added fog. That's okay. So let's see. Let's start to organize our layers a little bit. We got our background here. If I could type and spell, this always happens live, right? And then we have the Northern Lights. Kind of want to put that in the background and our castle. Okay, so this. All right, sorry everyone, just kind of figuring out my structure here. All right, so now I want to create a little bit of fog, and so I'm going to put that over top of this background layer here, and I'm just going to add a new layer and then go up to my brushes, and I have a fog brush that I like to use. You can download these from Adobe. You can get some online for free, different places. You can buy them from different creators as well. And this helps blend so much, and I could say over and over how much using your brushes will help create a final look to your images so that things don't seem like they're out of place. So I'm just sampling the color by holding down Alt, sampling from this foreground here, and then painting into the background and kind of creating that like mystical look. And I have a bunch of different fog brushes. So, you do not have to use this particular set. It's totally whatever you want to use and whatever you have available to you. So I want to kind of go for this glowy look in here and keep building that out. And so as you're using your brush tool, you can just go along and sample from the scene. And we might want to turn our flow up a little bit. Go back to this kind of warmer look. Oh, yeah. Okay, and now let's just put another fog in front of the castle and do a little blending in here. I think I actually had my layers organized a little bit differently because I'm like, how am I doing this? Okay. Yeah, Wade said, I love seeing composites with painted elements and you don't know that it was painted in the final results. Yeah, I love that too. I feel like it always gives it such a magical look. And like you can see here in this one, I actually painted up here even more. You can see, I just with my iPad went up and kind of like extended these and painted down the sides and helped to really blend all of this together. And so this blending process in here probably took me like over an hour, maybe 2 hours. And so that's why this isn't coming together as well in here. But if you really take your time with the blending, that's where all of the magic of this starts to come together. So you can see already how that fog in there just kind of help create some atmosphere, help blend things together. And then I usually end up doing a number of different layers of fog so that we really can start to get that look. And then continuing to blend out those areas of the layer mask. Looking good. All right. What do y'all think so far? We have about 30 minutes left. So I want to make sure we get into adding some brushes and adding ourselves into the scene, but just want to make sure we have all of our elements in place first. Always referencing this original, and I will upload this too as a JPEG so you can reference mine as well. And you can kind of get everything in place just as I did. But also, you know, feel free to create this as your own too. You don't want to make it exactly like mine, or you can if you want. I don't care. But you know, have fun with it. Like change the composition. Maybe you want this castle to be up here instead. Maybe you want the tree scene to be flipped. Maybe you want to add a different castle. Like we can just go over to our libraries and add in a new castle, just like that. And that's like the beauty of using these libraries, of being able to just add it and then license it right here on the spot. I'm not going to license this right now. I have a limited amount of stock. You know how valuable they all are. But you can go through and add in whichever ones you want. See how easy it is? We could just switch that castle out. So, and to find these castles on Adobe stock, I just typed in Winter Castle. Super simple. Okay, so let's now talk about adding ourselves into the scene. So I took this picture in the kitchen this morning. I was using a different person last night, and I was like, I need to put myself into this scene because that's the whole idea here, and also what is a magical holiday scene without imagining yourself there, right? So this was super easy to do. You can do this anywhere that you have a blank wall or anywhere that you can easily cut yourself out. And all we need to do here is go select subject. And look at that. Such an amazing job of cutting everything out perfectly, especially because we are going to be using this as a little tiny person in the scene. It does not have to be perfect. Peter asked, is this for a client or just for the stream? This is just for the stream. I made this last night and I'm super, super pumped with how it turned out. So I hope that you all can make something too once we get those assets uploaded. Okay, sometimes this cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. We just want to get a little bit more fur back in there and clean up those areas that the computer missed. There we go. I had to, of course, put the winter boots on. You know, we're putting myself into a snow scene, so very important. So we're going to layer mask that like that. And then I'm just going to copy this, drag it down, and I am going to apply this layer mask. So now we have a nice cutout of myself, and I could just put this into the scene, but maybe I want to use this in more places. So I'm going to turn it into a brush. So you could turn this into a brush exactly as it is, or I'm going to darken it a little bit so we get more of that silhouette look. If you don't darken it, you will end up with almost like a variation in opacity as you use the brush, and I can show you that as well. So we're going to go Command L to bring up levels, and I'm just going to darken everything just like that. I don't want to lose all the detail. You could go all the way like this to have a full silhouette stamp brush, or you could go like this to keep a little bit of that opacity in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go edit. Chat hype about the boots. Yes, always have to have the snow boots, especially with fur, right? Okay, so we're going to go edit, define brush preset, and I'm going to call this Anna, and click OK. And look at that. Now we have a brush of myself. So that is really, really cool. And so you can see how it still has that detail and those opacity details kind of baked into it. See that? And then if we were to, let's just do this again. Levels all the way down, click OK, and then edit, define brush preset, and a 2. Gotta love my naming structure. Now, see, we have that full deep opacity at 100%. So that's kind of interesting because you can help give it kind of that more like see-through, misty, mystical look. So we're going to go back to our scene here, and we want to make sure that we are on the Anna brush. And then we're just going to make a new layer here. And then zoom in, and you can then see all my mistakes as you zoom in. And we're going to lower the size of this. And then we want to sample from kind of these darker shadowed areas because we don't want it to be 100% pure black. We don't really have a whole lot of pure black in this scene, maybe a little bit up in these trees here, but this is actually like a deep purple. And then you can just go ahead and stamp yourself right in place. And it's so, I love this because then you can just, you know, have fun with it. You can use this for other projects. Once you kind of create the stamp of yourself that you like, you can make a whole series of these in different poses. Because I don't know, if you're like me, how often do I spend, how much time do I spend like looking for perfect silhouettes when I can just go photograph them and turn them into brushes that I can use for every single project? So I like kind of being nice and small here, and then just like that. There we go. Pretty simple. So you can easily add yourself into the scene like that. And then we just want to make sure that we also add our shadow in too. So I'm going to name this person, and we are going to copy this, Command J. And then we are going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical, and kind of bring it down like this. And then we are going to go Transform, Skew, and start to work our shadow into position. So you can also do this with a brush. I've done it both ways where I either paint the shadow in or I kind of do it like this. And I like this because it ends up making it like a little bit more realistic. Totally up to you though, based on however you want to work. Okay. And now I want to actually add a color overlay to that and kind of sample. So to do that, I just clicked on it, I just clicked down here on the FX and went to color overlay. And then I'm going to click on this color and come down here from our shadows and kind of look around to find the proper shadow color that I want to blend into the scene. So I think kind of coming from down in here. And we want to put this underneath so it's coming out from the side. We can also continue to kind of transform this. I want to get it into place. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's see. And now we're going to go blur, Gaussian blur again, because it's my favorite. Love using it. And just kind of give that like a very slight blur there. Position it a little bit. And then we can just, using our eraser, or you could do a layer mask on this if you're not sure where you want your shadow to be, we can just touch this up, because the shadow wouldn't be going up and over this snowbank here, because we're actually, it's kind of, you know, way out further from it. So it would kind of go down into this area. So we can see that looks really good, like with the shadow, and you can see I kind of did it pretty similar here. A little bit of a different color. I kind of warmed it up a little bit, but it starts to give that like very realistic vibe, very realistic look, and then also kind of creating that emphasis on the light moving out towards the viewer's eye. So we could easily come in and change the color on here too by going color overlay and just picking a slightly warmer tone. We don't want to be that light. Let's see. I almost want like a deep reddish purple. And then warm it up a little. Yeah, that looks good. Thank you, Marcia. She said it is a realistic shadow. Yeah. I think it really works. Shadows have always been, they're always so tricky, because unless you're really studying them often in real life, which I try to do, I try to look at my surroundings and notice what shadows are doing. You really need to see, like, how is it touching the subject? How is it going underneath the subject? Where is it bouncing and where is it blurring? And sometimes what is happening in real life ends up not being what looks best on your photo composite either. So keep that in mind too. Okay. So now let's start to build a little bit more light in here. You can see in this one, yes, Amanda, thank you for bringing this up. The source files for some reason did not upload properly. I don't know what happened last night. So I will get them uploaded for everyone right after this stream. I apologize for that. So you can see in this one, I really paid attention to adding a lot of light back in here, kind of continuing to work these northern lights into the piece, building the glow back in here. So we'll do that a little bit, and then add in our trees. Okay, let's see. This is why we need to name our files, or name our layers. What do I have here? Is this fog? Yes, okay. All right, so let's call this overlay. And we are going to start to paint in a little bit of glow with a couple different methods here. So we want a nice soft brush and a low flow. And we're going to sample again, like This is something you've seen me do countless times on multiple streams, and here today is just always using Alt or Option to sample the color as you're painting, and that helps to create the final look. And then we'll go a little bit brighter, and we're going to change the blending mode here to overlay. And just kind of paint this in. You can do it as extreme or intense as you want, or as little as you want. And then sometimes I like to go along and just continue to change the color and like experiment. And that was how I got this look down here with overlay, kind of with a nice warm look. So lowering that flow, anytime you control the flow, you're going to be able to slowly add in color and detail and all of those nice looks without kind of overwhelming the image. Okay. Building this out here. And so I took a lot of time to go up and paint in some of the windows to brighten them up. You could do that if you wanted, really adding in like this magical look. And then painting in the trees a little bit too to create that light source. All right, so we'll add another layer and then just do this with our northern lights as well. Change it to overlay and sample into this nice bluish green color, and then just kind of bring it down in here. I really find this to be such a good way to kind of add in. Sorry, needed some water there. Kind of add in this like extra oomph to the picture and get rid of some of these muddy areas that end up happening. And then we can just kind of continue to sample in here and get the look that we want. Okay, so now a little bit more of the northern lights painted in here. Bring our flow up. And just really have fun with this. This is your chance to like digitally paint. And right now I'm using a mouse, but usually I tend to use my iPad as my tablet connected to my computer. This is honestly my favorite part. I love once everything is put together and just going along and painting, and I will spend hours doing it. So I have to remember to keep talking and not get sucked into the painting part because it's just so much fun. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far on anything that we've gone over? And I apologize if you've asked them and I missed it in the chat. Just please let me know if you have anything you're wondering about or would like to see something added in here as well. All right. So it's starting to look pretty similar. We're going to add our trees in last and then a little bit of snow. Let's see. Yeah, looking good. Looking very similar. Okay, so now that we did our overlay, let's just add a touch more of glow. And this is something that I always love to show on any of my live streams and classes is add a layer and change the blending mode to color dodge. And then we're going to double click on it, turn off transparency shapes layers so that we can create a very nice glow here and click OK. And we're going to zoom in and Wade said the quiet moments of concentration in the stream is the artist getting pulled into the zone. 100%. I'm like, I have to keep telling myself you're live streaming, keep talking. There really is an art to it. Maybe we need to all just start practicing talking to ourselves while we edit. Maybe some of you do that. I know my husband talks to himself all day long. So what about you all? Do you talk to yourself? Let me know. Okay, so now if we could do this really intense with the glow, but I just kind of want to touch into it a little bit. And just by clicking the mouse with a low flow, you start to get that really nice light effect, because I'm building, again, this light tunnel going in and continuing to work on the idea of the story that I'm creating here of this warm holiday light that comes from castles, houses, buildings into the snow. Yes, Marsha said very meditative. Thank you. ASMR streaming over here. So then I went in and just touched up some of these windows with that glow technique, and then created new ones by just kind of really intensely building this out like that. Yes, Wade said color dodge, one of my favorite layer blend modes. It's the best, and it's so powerful for creating light and creating effects. Don't sleep on color dodge. Yeah, that's looking really, really nice. And then sometimes what I'll do is just like continue to add into those areas where I've used overlay to kind of continue to push them out a little bit. And I think the more you focus on building everything through this slow building of layers or slow painting or however you work, you're going to get a really nice result in the end that doesn't look like it just kind of like laying on top of each other or slapped together. All right. So next we are going to add in our tree, and I will put this in the folder as well. This is just a PNG tree that I got, and you can use any tree that you find on Adobe stock or another stock site. You can take a photo of a tree and cut it out. If you already have a PNG, then that's great because your work is done for you. We have a nice background free tree here. And I like how it has some depth to it, some color. So when we create our brush, we're going to get that same opacity look as we had before, where it's not just like stamped black. So we're going to go edit, define brush preset. We got our tree brush. And I think this is just so good to use. And I end up really not defining brushes that often. And I should, because it makes our lives so much easier. Click OK. And then we're going to go back over to our piece here. And we are going to make a new layer. And then again, sampling by holding Alt or Option and picking one of these darker colors. And then I want to make this nice and big. And you can, I love that you can kind of see, I say this as it disappears, see the tree so we can figure out exactly where we want to stamp it. Oh, I have to make sure our flow is not on 3 and then it's on 100. And stamp one there. I actually think I want to go a little darker. Let's see. Yes, Steve said you can do a tree from the shapes or render. Yes, so you can make a tree in the render and then make it into a brush too. Okay, so we'll do one there and one over here. Just see. Yeah, that was kind of what I did. And then you can always then take it and transform it and change the size. So I think that one looks good. And continuing to kind of shape those. I'm actually gonna put this one on its own layer so we can shape or move that independently. Make a new layer, and then I think I want this to kind of have almost as if it's getting a little bit more of this warmth over here. So we'll pick a different color. And maybe make it a little bit smaller. too warm, too bright. Cool. So now you can see just by adding in those trees, it started to really create this nice like framing around everything. And when we look at this other one, it gives you that nice sense of depth. Without it, I just feel like it just doesn't have, it's lacking something, you know? And then we can continue to adjust these and get them however we want. Just going to stretch it out a little bit. Tree 1, tree 2, and we're going to put a Gaussian blur on them. So we could also make these smart objects so that we can continue to change the Gaussian blur, but I'm just going to go ahead and add it because I kind of know what I want already. As you all probably know, to keep it non-destructive, go ahead and make that a smart object. So just a little bit here. We can go back and just click the same thing, and we just get a little bit of that depth. Yes. Steve says, lacking a Christmas. What is a Christmas? A Christmas moose? I was thinking of adding a caribou in here or something, but then it didn't end up happening. But we might have a little bit of extra time to do that. Or even add in, we got like our ice princess too. We could get crazy. All right. So I saw someone say snow. Yes. I did add in some snow and I put it into the folder. It's not showing up now, but you will have 3 different snow overlays to try out. You can also use a snow brush, and that helps to give the final look as well. You can see here, I added a little bit of snow and it helps make it look really, really nice. Robert said, I downloaded a free Christmas tree yesterday from brusheasy.com. That's great. That is perfect. Okay, what am I doing here? What do I want to add? So yeah, let's add some snow. So I'm going to open this up and you can see my messy desktop. Let's see, which snow do we want to use? I think something like this would be good. So these will all be in that folder for you. And then we can just add this in. And if you saw my holiday stream last year, we actually added some snow in, and then I think we made it move, if I recall correctly. And that was really fun. So definitely go back and watch that one too. And you can get those assets as well. So we're going to go to screen on here. And then let's just fill this whole thing with snow. So intense. So that's why I ended up using a brush on the one that I created because I didn't want it to be too much. But we can kind of soften this too. So I'm going to actually duplicate this and use a different section like that. Okay, and now we will add a layer mask. And we don't want our tree stamp. We want a soft brush. Bring the flow down to maybe halfway. And we are just going to start to paint some of this snow out so it doesn't look as crazy. But I love the look of the snow too. It's so fun. I almost didn't add it in, and then I was like, we need that. Yes. Calvin said add snow in the trees that were just added. That's definitely something that we could do too. And I didn't end up doing that on the original, but I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, why do these trees not have snow, but the others do? But they're just kind of a silhouette. So, and we are going to be done here in 5 minutes. I can't believe how fast these always go. Okay, so just kind of brushing out some of that snow to keep the look that we want. And that looks pretty good. What do you all think? Love the snow. Really adds a cool final effect. And then lastly, we are just going to merge and stamp all of the layers together and do our final camera raw to get this ready for export and wrap things up here. And then as soon as we get off, I will upload everything so you all have it. Okay, so we're going to convert this to a smart object so we can continue to edit our camera raw. And we're going to go filter, camera raw. Bring this down. And to be honest on this last one, sometimes I end up doing so much on camera raw. You've probably seen some of my streams in the past where I'll literally transform the entire image just in camera raw. But for this one, I just loved the colors. I loved how everything looked. So I didn't do a whole lot. But you know, just kind of going into those Anna McNaught colors. You can change this however you want. You can go more warm. You can go kind of more pink and purple, more green, like totally up to you. Bring the vibrance up a little. And then just wrap everything up with a beautiful radial gradient, my favorite. And I just like to really kind of direct that where the light in the image is coming from. So we are going to invert it and then just add a little bit of an exposure decrease. All right. Does anyone have any last minute questions before we wrap things up here? Let me know. So this is all, it ends up being just kind of experimenting, playing around a little bit. I could get sucked into this part of it for hours between the painting and the camera raw. See ya. You're not going to see me. I'm sucked into the zone. I am in the computer. Yes, Carol, thank you. We are saving it. I did actually, at least this time, name the file and save it in the beginning. So hope you're all proud of me for that. That's a big step in my life. Normally it's like, oh, whoops, forgot to save 3 hours into the process. Okay, so then we can click this little button down here. We got before and after. Awesome. Just kind of adds a little touch of beauty to it and wraps it all up in a nice bow. So this is what we made. And then here's the before, or sorry, let me turn these finished layers on. Here's what I made earlier. I'm actually really digging the intense amount of snow in this one. It looks very cool. Might have to repost this again. Love it. Let me know if you have any other questions as we wrap up here. You can always feel free to message me on Instagram. It's Anna McNaught, or email me, whatever feels suitable for you. And I will upload all of these files for everyone to follow along. Go back and watch the replay, or let me know if you have any questions along the way. And don't forget to watch all of the rest of the streams coming up for Adobe Live Holiday Week 2022, and have a absolute wonderful holiday season. If I don't have a chance to talk to you, have a great time with friends and family. And I will be back in 2023 for tons of new shows and streaming. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of 2022. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.